Lost in the dark. It's not a good day to be a bad guy.
What's up, metalheads? This is Wayne.
And Michelle.
And we are from the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast. And you are listening to
Burton and Aaron on the Lost in the Dark podcast.
Raise your horns.
Welcome back, Crow! What up? We are back for another episode of Dark Reflections. Now, you might be seeing some more episodes like this where we take a deep dive into albums that can't, like, there's a small handful of albums that came out last year that we just didn't get the chance to talk about, but we still to this day feel like deserve the attention. And so we're going to start that off here today with this episode of Dark Reflections. And we are, of course, talking about the brand new album from the Breathing Process called Labyrinthian, released October 8th, 2021 through Unique Leader Records. And it came out on the 8th of October of last year. And then on Halloween night, October 31st,
oh yeah,
you and I saw them, and that's when we got our physical copies. We actually met a couple of them, and it was an amazing show. It was the last time that we saw them, and we hope to see them again this year, as always. But it was an amazing show. We got to talk when we went up to the merch booth. We got to talk to the lead vocalist for a little bit, and then and there was even one moment after they were done playing where you and I were like sitting kind of like in the back at a table, and the guitarist walked by and she was like, "Hey, you guys are guys from Lost in the Dark, right?" Like she like recognized us. I was like,
yeah.
What the fuck? What the fuck? That blew my fucking mind. I was like, "Hi, like, you're amazing. And I love your guitars."
Yeah.
But yeah, huge shout out to them for playing such an amazing show. Every time I've ever seen them. I think the first time I ever saw the Breathing Process was at a Michigan Metal Fest.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, and I remember standing there watching them and just being like, they're way too big for this stage.
Yeah.
Like, they need to be on such a bigger stage. And finally seeing them at a place like the Diesel Concert Lounge on that big stage was nothing but satisfying. And when we saw them, this had, again, came out less than a month prior, and so most of the set list was from this album.
Yeah. I honestly I didn't even put that together until just now. That like we saw them when this was like fresh. This is like
brand
a few
new.
months out. Yeah, a few weeks out even.
Yeah, a few weeks. Yeah. Like I literally I wanted to buy it earlier, but I knew I was gonna see them. I was like, I'd rather just hand them the money in person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Support the artist and all that stuff. Now on this album, of course, Labyrinthian, released October 8th, 2021. It was produced by the one and only Dave Altero. Altero,
yeah.
All right. Who also produced the album Death Atlas, which we just talked about because we just saw Cattle on the Death at Last tour. So he produced that as well as the Rivers of Nile. He's a great fucking producer. So that's, it's an amazing sound that he does. And the big change-ups. Now, this band has been going, what'd you tell me, since like 2003? Breathing Process has been active?
Let me double check. They've been around for a long time.
Long time. Damn near 20 fucking years. Damn near 20 years they've been around. And the big change-ups, they have an insane list of former members. It's really actually insane. But the big change-ups for this album are Dan on bass, and then the really big one, they have a new vocalist, Chris. What I don't know his last name, but Chris. Well, I got it right here.
Yeah, check it out. So I'm trying to find something else.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good.
Jesus Christ, why is this shit so small? You're right to pull out the flashlight. Fuck my ass. Chris. I can't even read that, dude.
What you got?
Radiel? Rahdeal? That's what it looks like.
Rydell?
Chris Rydell. And then the the guitarist we were just talking about, Sarah. I can't read the last names.
Sarah Loreline.
Loreline. Okay.
Loreline.
Yeah, I just can't read the last names.
Yeah.
She's the one that recognized us, and that
Yeah.
I like. There are literally, since that show, there have been moments where I'm like feeling down about shit or whatever, and then I remember that like she walked up to us and recognized us, and that makes me all right.
Yeah.
Keep it going, you motherfucker. Like this album. So the first time I ever saw him was at the Michigan Metal Fest.
Formed in 2003, by the way.
So they've been around for 19 years.
Yeah.
19 years. Next year's is their 20th anniversary.
Oh, yeah. Their first, and to kind of put it in perspective a little bit, their first EP, Dialogue Analysis for the Heartless, the EP 2003. Then they had 2 demos, and then they put out I Am Legion in 2006. And then In Waking Divinity was out 2007, and that was their first full length. And ever since then, it's been 2007, 2010, and then they had quite an 8-year split
Hiatus.
Yeah, between Odyssey Undead, which was the album I got into in mine, which is
same.
Fantastic. It's one of the I really like it. I need to go back to it after listening to this one. But that was 2010, and then Samsara. Sam. I don't know.
That's the one that precedes this one, right?
Yeah, that was 2018, and then from Samsara to Labyrinthian was 2021. So it's and if you can't tell, it's fine. But can you tell, like, real quick off the bat, like, are there any members still in it from 2003? Let me see. They're it looks like their main guitar player.
Okay.
Jordan Milner.
Okay.
From 2003 to present, and he was guitars, backing vocals, and bass.
So he's the one that's kept it going. Really?
Yeah.
Like
between him and Sarah. Sarah's been at it since 2009 to present.
Okay. Beautiful.
Guitar and clean vocals.
Yeah, because I know I saw her at Michigan Metal Fest with the previous vocalist.
Yeah.
4 years ago now. And that was the first time I ever saw him, and they fucking just. That was the fucked up Michigan Metal Fest where like the sound was fucked up for everybody and all that stuff, and so Breathing Process ended up going on the side stage, the second stage, like way later than they were originally scheduled to go.
Oh yeah,
and there weren't that many people over there at that point in time because it's such a crazy setup.
Yeah.
There weren't that many people over there at that point in time watching them. I was one of them, and they fucking blew me. I was like, this is insane. I was like, this is like Winds of Plague. This is unbelievably good and does so much more recognition in such a bigger stage. And then finally getting to see them, of course with some new members down there at the Diesel Lounge, and then playing this brand new album. I felt like I was finally seeing them in the way that I thought they should be. You know what I mean? Like on the big stage in front of a big crowd, because their sound is so gigantic and like relentless. And they were fantastic to watch live, and every single member that we met was just nothing but like wonderful fucking people, like beautiful people. I really want to reach out to them and get them on the show. I definitely have crushed because Sarah was playing a guitar that it was a Jackson. It was a Jackson, but it definitely reminded me of an Alexi Lihal guitar. So I really want to talk to Chris, and I really want to talk to Sarah about her guitars and stuff, and if she's a Burton fan, and if that's part of the influence, because her guitar playing, I can't remember what song it was, but we were just watching some of their more recent videos, and she busts out a solo on one of them.
Oh, it was Shroud, I think.
Shroud, yeah. And oh my god, dude, really, like such a great solo.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I like the only memory I have of seeing them at the Halloween show was just like as soon as they started, I was just like, I was in like just this like I was
a trance.
I'm pretty sure I had fucking like headbanged like windmilled up at front, up front for their entire set.
Yeah.
I was like, this shit is sick. Like it translates over well, like live super well. I think that especially some of the newer songs are just like pummeling at like as much on the record, and like that's kind of the thing is like because I've to your point, I guess I'll kind of backtrack a little. I've seen them a few times. I saw them with we played with them with Boreworm and them and Boreworm at Sanctuary for like one of our only shows at Sanctuary in like 2019 or 20 but it would have been, I'm pretty sure it was the last show we played 2019.
You played with them?
Yeah. It was.
I mean, I had to have been there.
Yeah.
But how do I not remember this? That's insane.
Let me pull the lineup
Holy
up.
shit.
And then obviously seeing them at Metal Fest was fucking sweet.
Always. Yeah.
Let me pull up.
Are they playing it this year? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
They
I
should be.
Yeah.
They should be on the main stage right next to Convalescence.
Dude, I would love to see them just headline and just play this whole album. Like that's and it's no like dip to or dig at I guess their other stuff just because this is the only thing that I've really like diving into as far as like their between that and Odyssey, but that's like a super old record.
That's interesting because I didn't dive that much into Odyssey, but I did with Samersa.
Oh yeah.
So Samersa and this one are the ones I'm very familiar with. And they, oh my god.
Would you say that it's like a continuation of the sound off of that one, or would you say it's kind of like I guess how
it definitely does have that feeling like there is a continuation, but in a weird way at the same time, it also feels a bit of a to me at least, it also feels a bit of a. It's different. It is very different.
Yeah.
From Samersa for sure, and I do feel like a lot of that comes down to Chris on vocals, in a lot of ways. I don't know why, because it's been a minute since I've heard Samersa, so I can't remember why, like the exact reasons, but it does in a very weird way. There are moments where it feels like a continuation, and there are also moments on Labyrinthian where it feels like something totally fresh, like
that's cool,
totally new,
nice,
and things like they've never done before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with that,
holy shit.
Yeah. This was. I'm trying to find the fucking date on this. All the text is so.
That's what's fucked up about Instagram.
Yeah. Because
you got to like cut out parts, and sometimes it cuts off the date.
Well, it says this Friday, and it was posted June 8th. So sometime. Wow, that was way later than I thought it was.
June.
Sometime in June 2019.
2019.
It was Breathing Process headlining. It was Boreworm. That was their return show, Nathan's return show. It was us, a band called Vile Secretion, Carnus Immortalis, and Grave Bloom.
I was definitely at that
show. Yeah, I feel like
yeah.
You must be, yeah. I think
Carnus?
I
love Carnus.
I think that was the first time that because this would have been because 2019, and then when did they get their new vocalist?
I don't have the date written down. I just have that they had one.
Oh, 2020. So
yeah, I was gonna say this came out 2021.
So that would have probably been like the tour just before
this
started
recording.
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely.
Huh.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because I do remember them being with another vocalist.
Yes.
It being like they were like a 4-piece.
And
I remember a dude with like he was with them when we saw him at the Halloween show, and all I remember is it was her. It was some dude with like some giant dude with big dreads.
Yes.
And I was like,
yes,
fuck yeah. And then there was another dude like I don't know. Their drummer was really sick. I think he was the same drummer that they have now. And then somebody else. But I think they were a 4-piece when we played with them.
And I feel that might have been. I don't know if it was the same Michigan Metal Fest where I saw them for the first time or not. But I'm sure they played Michigan Metal Fest that year. Because when I saw them with Michigan Metal Fest, obviously it was was with a different vocalist for sure. So
And it looks like they're the lineup that's with them now hasn't been present until 2020.
yeah, so there you go.
You probably
Yeah.
would have seen. Yeah.
Yep.
So I feel like we both throughout the last I don't know like 3 years we've seen 3 to 5 years I'd say we've seen like a pretty much a varied continuation of this band.
Yep.
Which is crazy because I don't think that we even really realized that we'd seen them so many times and that like they've been around for as long as they have.
And until you just looked up their past members, I didn't realize they had been around this long, and B, I didn't realize they had that many past members. And for a band that sounds this fucking good, that has been around for 20 years, and I feel, I don't know. It just looking at a lot of stuff, it feels like a lot of bands start to pop after 10 years. And same with stand-up comedians. There seems to be a weird like 10-year rule in this kind of entertainment shit.
Yeah.
And for them to just now be popping the way I feel now, granted, there was an 8-year hiatus, right?
Yeah.
Like they did take a very long.
Yeah.
They did take a very long hiatus, so there is that you have to take in consideration. But I really feel like they are popping now and firing on all fucking cylinders. And I really hope that this current lineup is one that sticks and they do another album and they, because there's a lot of bands like that. Even the Convalescence has had not as many as them, but quite a lot of member changes.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that is something that I don't know why I can't like figure out. It doesn't really make sense, like unless you go on like an 8-year hiatus or whatever. But like for everybody else, like it doesn't really make sense that member change would prevent them from popping any sooner. Like that's kind of like I don't know why that doesn't make sense to me, but it feels like that's the case.
Yeah.
Even though like I love fucking all the albums that they, all these bands we've mentioned come out with. So it's just odd to me that it took them this long, even though they had the 8-year hiatus to like really start popping. Like I feel like they are now. And I still, even now, I feel like they deserve more accolades than they're getting.
Yeah.
I genuinely hope to see them on some really big tours this year because they fucking deserve it. After what we saw that night, they deserve every ounce of it. And so I guess we should probably get into more details about the actual album now.
I was gonna, I mean, you figured, because for me, when I first, kind of started getting back into them a little bit, because I had only kind of refamiliarized myself when we were put on the bill with them and stuff. Like that's when I went back and I was like, oh shit, like this is a band I haven't heard from in a minute. Like I didn't think they were really like, I didn't really know like if they were even going on or if they were like if they had anything going. And then I realized that they put out that is it Sam Sarah,
something like that.
Samarsa. But they put that out, and that made a little bit of a wave, and as far as like on my socials and like people I was following and like paying attention to, and like I started hearing little rumblings and stuff, and then it wasn't really until this one where I started seeing the cover and seeing like how many people were posting about him when this came out and stuff. I was like, holy shit, like they are, and when you think about it, it's like they are a 6-piece band.
They're a big one.
Yeah.
They're a big one. They got keyboards.
The whole thing.
Two
guitar players, bass player, vocalist, and the drummer.
Like as big as you can get without being Slipknot.
Pretty much.
In terms of numbers of members.
Yeah. So I gotta I gotta equate that like 8-year break to like, for one, like trying to figure out what maybe what they're doing, but also like to try to like piece together a sound that all works for them all. Like I gotta imagine that in that time they were trying to figure out like, and I'm sure it was a long process. No pun intended, I guess. I didn't honestly mean to do that, but yeah, like I'm sure it took a long time for them to land on how they did on this one, because there is like, and that's the thing that we've kind of both agreed on with this record is like as as solid and as strong as it is, and like it's one that I've gone back to way more than than I would have, I guess, thought that I would have, which kind of sounds a little weird. But it's also one that, like, every time I do, I pick up on something else. Like, there's another song that I pick up on, or there's another, like, there's a vocal line, or there's like a guitar bit, or there's like a, because there are, I mean, I don't know, I guess, if you wanted to, like, start with, like, songs and stuff, like, it's a fairly long record. Like, there are.
It is. That is something I wanted to point out. Yeah. Yes, go on.
Which is why a lot of this kind of, like, even as we were listening back to it the first couple of times and trying to, like, get some notes on it, or just to kind of refamiliarize. It was one of those that was like, damn, like there's like a 7-minute song that's halfway through the record, and then the last song is about 6 minutes, and then everywhere in there is about 5 minutes long, but every second of this album is filled with something like driving, something musically that is interesting, and that kind of like, and I feel like they really did such a solid job with not only filling all of that space, but also layering everything together so that, like, when one riff starts, or when one, like, part starts, it kind of builds onto itself until, like, halfway through the song, it's just this gigantic soundscape of things that are happening, and it just, I don't know, I think it's really interesting listen. I think there's, like, it almost kind of warrants extra, or just like that extra added attention, just more listens to it. Like, it just the amount of times that, like, we've gone back to songs, and mostly just because, like, trying to get familiar with them, but also I feel like, to me, trying to look for things that keep me coming back to it.
Yes.
It really, like, I remember specifically when I first sat down with this record, the thing that blew me away the most was how it starts off.
Yes.
You got Terminal, which I love that, like, like that like kind of driving, like, blast beat section stuff where the guitar is going on the back of it, and then
that's even, like, correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of like an intro. Like, are there any vocals on that track? Like, I think.
Yeah,
are there?
Yeah,
all right.
It's the opening song. Like, there's a good, like, I don't know, like 45 seconds or like a minute or so without any vocals.
That's probably what I'm thinking of. That it's a very much an intro song.
Yeah. But
brilliant.
But from there, it goes to, like, as far as like a 1, 2, 3 fucking knockout, and then you get to Savage Plea, which is another one of my favorites. Terminal, Shadow Self, and Wilt.
Yeah.
Wilt with the vocalist from Signs of the Swarm.
Yeah. What's his name? I got it right here. David Simonich.
Yeah.
Simonich.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, from Signs of the Swarm, guest spot on track 3. Wilt, yeah.
And fucking won't get too far out of it, but fucking I've been jamming Absolver. I've been getting way heavy into Signs of the Swarm lately. So it was really cool to see him on something else, kind of have his voice on something else, especially like this, because I feel like both of the bands, them and Signs, have a very, now with the last record, kind of where they're going at, they both kind of have like a similar sound where it's like brutal, like pummeling shit, and then it's like the ambient stuff, which I love. So I think that was kind of a cool little, and Wilt is as close, like there's so much like melding of like the black metal style stuff, and then you got like the more like death metal style stuff, and then you got like the ambient stuff, and then you have like more of the traditional black metal stuff, and then it gets into like some atmosphere, and like it's a very dense record. It's something that like I said, it takes multiple listens through to it, but once you kind of get past that, it is like you start picking up on like the little guitar lines, little solos, the drum stuff, like all the keyboard stuff that's extra in it. Like I really like it.
It has this album top to bottom has an intense, it's long, but it's not too long at all.
Yeah.
And it's very dense. That's a good way to put it. Like that Wilt song. Like, see, I said that it has like kind of the intro starts with like almost a deathcore deathcore riff almost in some ways, and then it kicks in with some phonics, and then straight on demon vocals come in. You know, amazing. It has like a really great chuggy gallop through it, and then when the keys come in, it adds like a haunting, terrifying element. And I think that Chris and Dave, Chris from Breathing Process and Dave from Signs of the Storm do a good job at doing like back and forth vocals a little bit. There's at least a little bit of that in there, which is something. Anytime there's like a guest vocalist on something like this, I like the back and forth a lot more than like give one a verse and then give another one a verse. I'd rather hear you both do the verse together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Go back and forth. That's way more intense to me.
I'm the same way. I also really like when there is that kind of trade-off instead of it just being like a kind of sort of in the background, like mixed in with everything else. Like I really like when bands give, when there is the guest spot, when it feels like a guest spot instead of just like some extra added vocals to the mix.
Right. Oh my God. That's a really good way to put that, actually. Yeah. Yeah. It actually feels like there's something different happening here as opposed to somebody else just has a verse. Or is kind of layered in with the actual vocalist on the chorus. Yeah.
Or something.
That.
Just absolutely. And like I mean, kind of going back to Signs a little bit, like I think that they are really going to be one of the bands that's going to be on the up and up as far like this album and then going forward. I think just because like they're another one that's really kind of had their tumultuous past, I suppose.
Sure.
They've been through a lot of vocalists, they've been through a lot of member changes and stuff, and I feel like what they've landed on now and kind of where they're headed is pretty exciting. So to see him on this album and to have that with it, and honestly, like it's funny because you were playing that song when I walked in and I heard his bit and I was like, oh fuck, Signs of the Swarm, and it was like, no, it's fucking Breathing Process. And I was like, oh shit, well even still, like no problem with either. Like it's fucking sick. So yeah, I was a big fan of that guest spot. I thought that fit perfectly.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And yeah, I mean, what's another one of your, I don't know, favorite tracks or whatever?
Like I said, I like Shadow Self. It's like the second song on the record. But I guess let me get a little deeper into it. Shroud was the one we were talking about. The solo section in that.
That's the solo we were talking about in the video?
Yeah. Yeah, they put a video out for this one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I said that song is like a tornado.
Yeah.
It's like it's a tornado of souls descending into the underworld.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote about that song because that's how it feels to me. Very symphonic and blackened. The solo is so amazing.
Yeah.
Like in terms of this style of music, one of my favorite solos I've heard in a while, and.
It just floats over top.
It really does. Like the only thing I would say about it is I wish it were longer.
Yeah,
that's it. Like I want more. Like it's so fucking good and fits the song so perfectly.
Yeah, I think lyrically, I think this has a really cool hook on it. Says when there's nothing left to barter with, what will you take from me? Cursed character shrouded by this disguise, drained of all verve, soul denied.
That's sick.
Yeah, just it starts off covet which cannot grow, must fill what's empty, declare your pure self missing. So just a lot of like, I feel like, and that's kind of one thing that I want to spend a bit more time with on this record is like, because I feel like there's a concept in there. Like I feel like lyrically I haven't spent as much time with it as which is another thing that like.
Well, that's part of the reason why we're getting to it so late is because it's so dense.
Yeah,
that's like something I wanted to say earlier. Yeah,
there's so much that even still, like after listening to it multiple times,
we've both been listening to this since Halloween, basically, if not longer, and. It's still a lot to unpack. We still don't really know like where to even start.
Yeah, but I think that's good. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah,
because like seldom, if ever, do you especially now. I mean, I don't know. I guess I could be. Maybe I'm just not listening to as complicated as shit as some others, I suppose. But for me personally, like I feel like there's something to be said about when there's this kind of a release and when it takes quite a few listens through to it to really kind of get everything on it, to really kind of like, and that's what this leaves me with, is like, which is, you know, I mean, the re-listenability, like just the amount of times that I was like, man, like I just, like as many times as I've heard it, like I want to hear fucking Atlas again. I want to hear fucking I Sleep I Wake or We the Drown, the last song, like, because I feel like I know that I've heard it, but it's just like trying to like get more familiar with it and trying to like, it's almost addictive in a way.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much of it that's like, man, like I know I really like this when I heard it the first time, and I want to hear it again to get more familiar with it. The problem with that is that when you start some of these songs, they're like 4 minutes, 5 minutes long, and so sometimes you gotta like, you know, like
You gotta commit.
yeah. So, but again, that's not a bad thing, because they still, you know, I mean, to go, I guess, a little forward with it, like they, you know, they really, like we were saying, definitely fill that space up with so much interesting riffs and so many things that play off of everything else that it, you know, it
That
makes
is-
you know, the repeat on it is not as like, I don't know.
That
You know
no. That is something that I really like about it, is that like it fucking, it's not easy. It's like it does kind of require more listens, but that just keeps bringing you back to it. And it's not like there's no like, they're not pandering.
Right.
They're not pandering to any fucking, they're not
It's not just like
trying to be this or that. They're just them.
yeah. So
And they're doing it unapologetically, and I love that.
Yeah.
Like, it's no, this is what we're gonna release. Like, it's heavy duty, and like but for people like us, in particular, fans like us that like that kind of shit, like we're you know, it takes an extra minute to really digest it all and figure it out, but once you do, it's unbelievably rewarding.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, this is some of the best shit ever. Like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
This is the mad notes. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up listening to and being kind of exposed to from a pretty young age to, you know, progressive music from
Yeah.
my dad and stuff. Like Dream Theater was a big band for me a long time ago. They still are a little bit. So like this kind of calls to that. I mean, they had like fucking 10-12 minute songs, like very Maiden, I suppose, as it were. Which I know we talked about, but yeah, man, like I mean, I don't know, I guess, like where do you want to go with this? What do you want to touch on?
Honestly, like I mean, it's you know, really when I because I'm not used to doing these with you. Like, I usually do them alone.
Yeah.
But like Shroud, you know, I already, you know, amazing song. I Sleep I Wake is a particularly epic song to me. Very Blackened vocals.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gallops in this album, which is part of the reason why I love it so much. It's got a great breakdown and symphonic section that's amazing, and like long guitar section, and just descends into pure blast beat fucking hell on I Sleep I Wake. Wilt is another standout. Labyrinthian, of course, which also has a guest spot from Jamie Graham of Viscera on that one.
That one is,
It has like a Nordic feeling almost.
yeah, that one, that's the other one that's it's like midway through the record. It's the title track, but it also, like, it has such
it's like 5 songs in.
Yeah.
Track 5, I believe.
It has such a God, what do I want to say? Like a really driving, like a Monomarth kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I said beautiful guitar intro, terrific. What does that say? Intro.
And the singing bit on it.
Frantic pace. Yeah, it has a frantic pace that kicks in, comes into like a demo-like groove.
Yeah. Demo,
Like just such a massive sound. That one has an amazing guitar solo build too. And it kicks into like a stomp your face sort of like thing, and then like haunting like keyboard guitar section, and then the guest vocalist Jamie from Viscera, and then what else did I say? It kind of reminds me of like Dimmu or Fear Factory style cleans.
Yeah.
And it's like a march.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? What did I say? March into battle on the open seas. Almost a Nordic feeling.
Yeah. Like you're fucking. You're in one ship and you got one of the other that's in a distance.
Yeah.
You're just creeping towards each other.
Yeah. That's exactly the imagery I had in my head when I was hearing this. Yeah. I love that shit.
You know, that is something that I love about it is it really puts you in like a space, you know? Like it
very much does.
I and the whole like lost at sea kind of feeling is so. Like I definitely feel like they returned to that multiple times in this album. Like there's so much of it that just feels like desolate, you know?
Yes.
Like
you're alone.
Yeah. Which is, I mean,
it's a haunting feeling.
Yeah. Like and that's only complemented with the guitar, you know, the guitar stuff and the keyboard stuff specifically. Like they're one of the, you know, because there are a lot of bands that we talk about. Like I feel like we're for the most part pretty big on bands that have the symphonic stuff, the keyboard stuff.
Very much. Yeah.
It's something I've always loved. I think it adds that extra bit of, you know, grit or just really just atmosphere. Like
yes.
I'm always like, you know, Flesh God Apocalypse. That like I'll never forget when I first heard Agony, that record. Shit blew me away. Like I was, and then ever since then, like I've been a fan of them. This is kind of the same thing. Like there are specific points in it where it just like it really it's as beautiful as it is heavy. You know what I mean? Like there's so much of it where like the keyboards are like the main focus of it, and then it comes in specifically towards the end of the record, like with Atlas. There's bits where, you know, there's heavy like keyboard accents and stuff, and then it comes back in with this. You know, like the drums are going a million miles an hour and the guitars are going fast as fuck, but there's this like giant vocal line that's over top of it, and that just kind of like, yeah, it's very like just big, I guess. And so to me, I feel like that's one of the strong suits of this band is that they understand kind of what makes that work. You know, like what makes like when you start off with the guitar part as just what it is, and then you add the keyboards and the drums to it, and then eventually it goes into something else, and then it like once you hit the hook of it, it is just like we're rolling, you know what I mean? Like there's so much of it that's so intense, and it's really interesting, you know. But there's all, you know, like there's a good mix of that stuff and then just the really heavy like traditional black metal stuff on it. Yeah. That just it's really kind of got everything as far as like if you're looking for that or if you're just looking for like a really atmospheric kind of experience, which is hard to kind of come by because a lot of times it's either one or the other. Yep. So,
it really does an excellent job at combining some different sounds too, and I feel like that's something we've talked about a lot, and they do the breathing process in particular does a great job at combining those sounds and to where it's. A lot of what you hear is familiar, but also a lot of what you hear feels brand new. Yeah, and it keeps that like kind of progression, that feeling going throughout the entire album, where it's like it certain parts of it feel familiar, but it also keeps you guessing. Yeah, when the first time you hear it, and it's.
Like I want to see where this goes. And
yes,
that was a big part of, especially within the first few listens of it. Like when I knew we were doing this, I was like, all right, let me kind of familiarize it. And like, there are certain bits where it's like, holy shit, like there is this guitar line, or there's something that happens over top of what's going on that like catches my ear, and that like I want to hear that again. Or like, what I wanted to kind of bring up was that the title track Labyrinthian has a has a clean, or I guess like singing bit on it, which is I feel like
Yeah.
the only time where they ever do that.
Yeah, that's might be the first time they've ever done that.
Did you did you feel so, like did that hit you? Because to me I was like, this is like and there's certain things I listen to when I'm kind of like when I know that there's a band that has this kind of style. Like I look for how they lay in the clean stuff if I know it's there. Which with this I had no idea. I was like, that just kind of hit me out of nowhere. And that to me kind of like I feel like I had to build a little bit. Because it was one of those things where the first time I heard it, it wasn't quite as hitting as the next few times.
Fair enough.
So that was kind of, but I don't know if you know this. Because to me, I feel like that's the only part on this album that had those.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I think, yeah, just because it's of like the title track and of just what he's talking about and stuff, and it's in a big part of the hook.
And that's also that might have been those like. I don't know because I don't think they did a video for this one, but those cleans might have been the guest, Jamie from Viscera.
Yeah, possibly.
But the cleans did remind me of like a Dimmu or Fear Factory style.
Yeah.
It wasn't straight up cleans. It was like it had, a tinge to it, it was like that in between thing.
Yeah. Dude, there was a line in here that I loved. And it's towards the middle of it, and I think it might be the clean part of it. Says, and if I don't make it back, know that I fought with all I am. Farewell, my brother. Please remember, it was my finest hour, and through it all, I walked this maze alone to find my path towards Labyrinthian.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a story here that we don't
Yeah.
know. This has got to be some kind of concept.
Yeah, like
That was fucking sick.
Yeah.
That's a great line, but that feels like a part of a story.
Yeah, like the first
Very
line,
much so.
the first few lines of Terminal, dear departing heart, how will you leave? I'm not unlike the others. I'm not unlike the others, am I? Betray those you will leave, all that you grieve.
Yeah, there definitely seems like there's something.
Man, like,
we
yeah,
need to get them on.
Because and that's the thing, like, that's one of the only things about doing this tonight that I really wish I had a better grasp on was the lyrics and what the song's about, because I know that there's something in here that just, and that, I've done full lyric read-throughs of it and stuff,
yeah,
like, just
me
to kind of like associate the music with something, and every time, like, I just pick out these certain lines or whatever, but I can't tell you anything else, like, so like, yeah, to hear it from somebody that wrote it and that kind of, because what it feels like is it's a very deeply personal story.
Yes.
And there's a lot going on in it that is very hard to sum up in, like, one or two statements.
Yes.
And to me, I feel like there's so much within these songs that tells such a story about, like,
I mean, based on the few lines that you just read, it feels like a story of loss.
Yeah.
And
loss.
at least that's a bare bone minimum thematic element.
Yeah. The understanding of yourself. The understanding of like death, like the darkness of it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
it's the best I got.
Yeah. As
And
many times, we've listened to it a lot, people. We have really gone deep in this one. We totally need to get them on and talk about this.
Yeah. Sincerely hope that we are doing justice to what they wanted to push out to this, because I like, again, like, and that's not to, like, not say anything about it, but it's just to say, like, man, to kind of grasp the what's really, like, the overall, like, what's happening with it, and like, I don't know, like, I guess you just have to listen to it. I don't know, like, I don't really, like, this is kind of what, kind of one of the first ones that we've done that, like, is hard to
put into words.
Yeah.
It really, actually, it is. It really is. You're kind of right about that. Like,
I'm really, we're really trying to right now.
It's like, it's the kind of thing where it's like, we've spent a lot of time with it, and the number one thing we know about it is that we love it.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
But like, we love it so much. But keep in mind, people, like, we only do dark reflections or dark reactions for shit we like. Like, and then, we're never gonna do like, I'm far more interested in promoting things that I love and that mean something to us than tearing anything down or saying anything bad about anything. You know what I mean? Like, this is, so we love this album. It's just really hard to contextualize and put into words. And I'd really, I think a big part of that does come from like, we feel like but I think both of us feel the same way in that, like, we feel like there's some thematic elements that we're just like not aware of somehow, even though we've both read all the lyrics, we've heard the album talked about it multiple times, and it's still like, what is going on here? But it's so, to your point, addicting. It really is the kind of thing, every time you listen to it, you hear something new again, because it's so dense and so thick of music and sound. It's like a masterpiece. But it's also, I would, sitting here right now, I would consider this a masterpiece album. Having said that, I think that this is the foundation and the groundwork for the next one, which is really going to be the masterpiece. Like, that's kind of how it feels right now. I feel like I'm like, kind of like Convalescence. It's like, this is how Monument of Misery. It's like, this is how it was fucking amazing. And I can't believe how much they outdid themselves from that to Monument. Both of them are amazing, but Monument of Misery is the one I always go back to. Whereas I feel like this one I'm going to keep going back to until they come out with the next one, and then that'll be that one. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of feels like that sort of a thing a little bit to me. Yeah. As a fan personally,
I can see that.
And I it just top to bottom, it's an amazing album. It's an amazing band.
It really is, man.
And we cannot. There is no way to describe to you how much they destroy live. The only thing, dude, if they had a fog machine and spit a little blood once in a while, they would be like one of the greatest live bands going right now, in my opinion. If they just added little, like, those, but it's almost like they don't even need it, because the music does all the work for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like that might even be a little over the top for how amazing they are.
The thing I loved about their live show is how much of it was just like one song to the other, to the other, to the other. Like, they're really, to me, that I feel like they're the type of band where it's like, a little more, not to like discredit what they had when they, when we saw them at the Halloween show, because I'm sure that was even that was a weird snapshot, and just after this had come out. But just I like their sound is, is so like it really puts you somewhere,
Yes.
And to me, when we saw them live and playing some of these songs without a lot of times without even really realizing it, because like I didn't even know that this had come out outside of like when they were talking about it, but it was pretty like one song to the other song to the other, like, and they just like the way that it all felt when it was played together, like it felt like one big gigantic song, which is kind of how the record feels.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not, and that's not, a lot of times when you mention that, it's kind of like, it's kind of a bad thing, because that means like, there's not a whole lot of variety and stuff. There's not a whole lot, but to me, like, I feel like the fact that it does flow the way that it does, and how much of it is so, from one to the other to the other to the other, is like, it's so like, it really kind of keeps you in that headspace of what, of the story that they're telling. And
I kind of go the other way with that, though.
Yeah.
When it all sounds like one piece, like that, like I kind of like. I like that.
Do you prefer so when you're okay? I guess, yeah. I don't know if you ever talked about this. So when you're seeing a band live for the first time, and you know that they have a couple albums out, and you know that they're like pretty solidified, like, do you look for I guess like how their show is, or how do you like? I guess like what do you anticipate anything at all, or do you just kind of go in with like, you know? And I guess like to follow that up, like how did you anticipate this one? Like if that makes sense, I don't know. I hope what I'm asking is making sense. Like
I
like
would
do you
say,
would you say that you like so like I guess approaching this
okay.
in the same way that you would approach, I suppose, like seeing them live off of this for the first time.
Okay.
Like, do you enjoy it more when there's like a little bit of bantering, or do you enjoy it more when it's just kind of like when you are completely like in the artist space and you are in the world that they are presenting to you, and that you are just watching the show and stuff? Because to me I feel like there's a couple of differences. Like and it really kind of depends on the band. Like sometimes I like a little bit of bantering, but I feel like there's something to be said about bands that just kind of like have their own thing that they do, you know. And to me, when we saw them live with them, and even like the last few times that we saw them, it was a very like we want to put you in this world. We want to take you through the fucking Labyrinthian. We want you to like feel as though you are stuck in this place.
That's a very black metal thing.
Yeah.
That's very blackened.
Yeah.
Approach.
Yeah. Because
that's a good question.
I could go either way on it, really, but I think when you're a band that's trying to make some kind of a statement with your album, with your music, like when you if you have because I don't know if you remember so much, but they didn't like they were pretty from one song to the other.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
There wasn't really a whole lot of middle ground stuff. There wasn't really a whole lot of talking in the center, but every second that they were on stage, they filled it with something, the same way that they fill every second of this album with something. Like with you know, I don't know, like,
you know what, that's a very good question, because it's hard for me to answer. There are and to your point, it definitely depends on the band, but man, I would have to say that like, and not everybody's good at the banter, you know what I mean?
But
when it's just in the world
I'm
of
show off some of this artwork real quick. You can keep talking.
In the world of things like podcasting and stuff like that, like if I were to go to a Hatebreed show and Jamie never talked in between songs, I'd be a little bummed.
True.
Because like I want to like. I enjoy when they get to have a little personality on stage. Like I mean, come on. One of my favorite live performances of all time, whether it be the DVD Stockholm or it be just seeing them live, was Children of Bodom. And the banter between Alexi and the keyboard, it's Henka, I believe. Or Yane, I can't remember right now, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like the banter between them gave the show unique personality, and it also allows for unique moments for the audience, where like somebody says something and then that only happened at this show. Yeah, they have the same set list for every show, but these like jokes they make or this banter that they have only happened here tonight. So it kind of makes the show a little bit more unique in it of itself for the audience. So I definitely enjoy when I feel like there's relatable personality, as opposed to like the first time I ever saw that I remember at least seeing a band just go boom to boom to boom, song to song to song, nothing in between, was Megadeth.
Okay.
Gigantor 2008 was one of the first times I ever saw them, and Mustaine was someone I wanted to hear from at that point in time, and especially because of his lyrics. You know, I loved the early Megadeth lyrics so much. and he was just like, you don't want to hear me talk. And much like Cattle Decapitation on last Sunday when we saw him, he's like, I'm not a front man, I'm a vocalist.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes. I feel like Dave Mustaine is a vocalist guitar player. He's not a front man. Alexi Leo is a front man. Bruce Dickinson's a front man. Dee Snider, Bret Michaels, Vince Neil. These are Winston from Parkway, Trevor from Dahlia. These Corey Taylor, 100%. These are front men. The ones that don't do that are vocalists. I feel like there is a very hard distinction there in a big bad way. Alex is a front man. Clint is a front man. You know what I mean? Like, they have... Sisto was a front man. You know what I mean? Like, they all had that fucking thing where they can, like, joke. Like, they can be loose. They have the ability to, like, be loose and make something unique in the moment. Find something.
Fucking shrink the room.
Shrink it.
Yeah.
To the size of your thumb, like Bruce Dickinson says in Metal Headbangers Journey.
That always sticks with me.
Me too.
Like, I anytime I think of, like, a great frontman, like a great,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. It's Ozzy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But whereas Dave Mustaine... Or
like,
even I don't know. I've never seen him live, but I kind of feel the same way about like a Hetfield. Tom, or I never know how to say his last name. Araya, yeah.
Araya?
He
Slayer?
is a vocalist.
Yeah.
Not as much of a, at least in the later half of Slayer.
Yeah.
I feel like in the beginning of Slayer, before he had the neck surgery and couldn't headbang anymore and all that shit, he was probably a lot more of a front man. But in the later half, there definitely was a little jokiness. But like, I've never seen it. It's the other thing I don't like about it. The one thing I don't like about it, I guess, is that it's always the vocalist, and they're kind of talking to the crowd or just talking to themselves. Randy is a front man.
Man, I was gonna ask you because he's kind of a specific case, because I remember like around like Sacrament era, he would always say that, like, oh, I'm just a screamer. I just get up and yell.
Yes.
And really it wasn't until like after Resolution.
Yeah. Kind of like Wrathy
kind of,
Wrath era.
Wrath, he kind of started to a little more.
Yep.
Like, he really kind of came into his own with the whole,
we're
like,
a Lamb of
frontman.
God from Richmond, motherfucking Virginia.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, man.
that line is fucking, that's as like iconic as fucking the lines that Bruce Dickinson says on Live After Death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, scream for me, Brazil! Like, that shit, like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like, it is, like, there's both. There's both. And I think there is room for both. But I'd never seen, like, it's so rare when someone does it like Alexi did, where, like, one of my favorite things about them was that he would incorporate the other members of the band in the banter.
Yeah.
Almost no other vocalist does that. Like, they're just like kind of like playing with the crowd instead of making jokes with their friend on stage.
Yeah.
And that, every single time they did that live, it just made the whole room feel like we're a bunch of friends hanging out. Like, we're all in on a joke now.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it felt every fucking time. So, like, I would say that I probably prefer a vocal or a front man that can do that, but even go like a little bit far. Now, in terms of ones that like don't really banter with the others that still do it amazingly, obviously Bruce, but Corey is probably the best at it that I've ever seen in terms of like talking to the crowd and like the things that he says and all that stuff in between the songs. But like, I would say I'm probably on the side where I prefer the front man, but in cases like Breathing Process or even a Megadeth and things like that, the vocalist angle where it's just boom, 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 and there's no banter, there is a place for that in the sense that it's more of a performance, and it takes you somewhere.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel the way the band wants you to feel about, you know what I mean? It really like it's more of an emotional journey as opposed to like a show, you know, in some ways and stuff like that. Like so dude. I love both of them.
Yeah.
But and it's not to say one is better than the other in any way, shape, or form, but I feel like generally speaking, I have more fun at ones where where it's a front man, not just a vocalist. And I'm not saying that Chris, right? Yeah, Chris is just a front man or is just a vocalist by any means. He is very much a front man, but he has all that. But the show that we saw that night was very boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And so it was more that. So that's all we're basing. That one show is all we're basing it off of. Can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Draw no conclusions from what we're saying right now. But that like I would say I'm a little bit more on the side of like let me feel a little bit more of the personality in the room, but I also love it when it's just no, fuck that, we're taking you on a ride.
Yeah.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, man. Oh, dude.
So yeah.
Half the fun I feel like most of the time of seeing a band like Slipknot or a band like, you know, any of the Lamb of God specifically, or just, you know, anybody.
Dahlia is another.
Yeah. Anybody of that stature is just like, where are they gonna stay on stage? Like,
yeah.
You know, like it's the same thing with the Acacia Strain too. That documentary I showed you the other night.
I watched it.
His whole like bantering stuff is just like, I hate everybody, kill everybody. Like, you know, it's like just that unique banter to that specific show is always fun. But like, you know, with this, it was like more specifically like with the Halloween show. Like there's something about just how much they were able to just keep you in that headspace of like this is our song, like this you know, we're just gonna play what we got, and then, you know, we'll, you know, you can feel about it however you want to. Like there's something so cool to me about that kind of side of things that, like, you know, like I love all of the bantering stuff. I love all of like the back and forth stuff. I feel like it makes, to your point, it makes like a unique show experience. You know, anytime you can like kind of call back to something like a specific show, like what we were talking about with what is it, Creeping Death the other night, where someone was like,
yeah,
the things that they were yelling
you
at
hit
that
harder
band.
than my dad.
Yeah. You know, like
Whoa.
that's always pretty fun, but at the same time though, like
Detroit, only in Detroit.
Yeah, right. I'm also a fan of, you know, just let the band, like, you know, if you're the kind of band where you want to get on, you just want to play for a half hour long and that's all you want to do, like, hey, I'm fucking for it. Like,
yeah.
If all you want to do is just crush everybody and not really say much and just go from one to the other, then fuck yeah. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, it's
like,
just
I am for it. Yeah.
It's a metal. It's like
yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, dude. It's
kick it.
There's so
kick the door down.
Yeah, man.
Fucking, we're here.
There's a
like,
yeah.
We're here.
There's a real attitude to it where it's like, all right, we're just gonna play our
punk
shit.
Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna play our shit, our songs. We're not gonna say anything, and then we're gonna walk off stage like nothing ever happened.
Yep.
So which they both did and didn't do. Like they weren't one of those bands that kind of like, you know, pushed everybody away, but they were, you know, they seemed very appreciative for everybody that was sticking around. They seemed like to actually really like to have a fun time on stage. Which is fucking awesome.
Extreme, and they hung out like before and after. Like we met Chris at the merch booth.
Great
Shout
guy.
out.
Yeah, man.
Like
come on anytime.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I think him and Sarah were the only ones we met that night.
Yeah. Well, I think their guitar player might have come up when we were standing by the merch booth.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. But that was that. They were amazingly cool. And you know what's funny is that, like, when I saw them at Michigan Metal Fest, they blew me away so hard that I like wanted to go like buy the album.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't find their booth anywhere.
Oh, that's weird.
And I even like asked people. They're like, it's right next to the Convalescence booth. And I went to the Convalescence booth. and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Oh.
And so like to finally like see them live and then be able to get an album and meet some of them, that was just awesome. That was just awesome. And
yeah, he was. I mean, like we talked about the artwork stuff. We talked about the fact that this was his first record with him.
Yeah,
like you could, I could tell kind of instantly that he was just pretty fucking excited just to even be around, just to be there. Like
that is the vibe I got off
Yeah.
him, is that he was just genuinely happy
Yeah.
to like be a part of this, and like really was like it felt like it felt special to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, then how can you expect anybody else to be? You know what I mean? So like it's kind of like us. Like
Yeah.
I definitely got that off of him, and I'd love hopefully this has gone on way longer than we anticipated. This was meant to be a 20-minute episode, everyone, just for the record. But
That's how great this album is.
that's
though.
how great this
Check
album and this
shit
band.
out. Seriously,
Like it's unfucking. What are they from? Pennsylvania or something?
yeah.
They're not too far away from Michigan. They're East Coasters. But
Like just So I guess the like what would you give this out of 10?
I was actually gonna say, fuck the out of 10 thing. We give it 8 horns because we both have 2 hands. Like that was my thought. It's the top. Like it's you know, in terms of American blackened death metal, symphonic death metal that's happening right now. I can't think of anybody better. You know,
As far as like newer bands that are doing this style, and that's kind of the other thing is like they're really almost have a style all their own.
It
Like,
really. That's why I
was,
put so many categories in there. That description:
Yeah.
symphonic, blackened, American death. Like it's all. It really can't. Like so many bands that we talk about, they can no longer be put. Even bands that we've been talking about for years, even bands that have been around for years, the new stuff can no longer be put into one category.
Yeah.
It's so many. Fuck. Whitechapel is a perfect example of that. Like it's there's no fucking one place that you can put them.
Yeah.
There's no pigeonholing. It's when and there never is on this show. Whenever we describe bands in the way of subgenres, we're just describing what we hear. We're not trying to say this is what they are ever.
Yeah.
So like, it's just so many different fucking sounds coming at you. It's hectic, it's chaotic, but it's also melodic and groovy and has a lot of gallops and amazing vocal performances, amazing guitar solos. The drum work is unfucking real.
Oh, it's
like the keyboards are haunting throughout the entire album. Like all of it is just really. It's hard to imagine topping this. But I think that's exactly what they're going to do on the next one. And we're going to look at this one and be like, oh, holy fuck. Like, yeah, it's, I really think that, that this is the foundation for something that's about to be a great album. This is already an amazing and great album that 10 out of 10, 8 out of 8 horns, whatever fucking, we don't have a rating system, but this is just nothing but pure joy and amazing, and I think that it's laying a foundation and what comes next, provided, hopefully, fingers crossed, that they retain, you know, because that's kind of the thing, is it seems like when bands like have so many shifting members, when they finally settle in on a lineup, they do one album and it's really good, and then the next album's better, and then the next album's, you know what I mean? Like, it just works better obviously, you know what I mean? It's 10,000 hours, and you're working with other artists. Like, it just, you know, that's part of the game. Like, the more you do it with the people that you do it with, it just gets better and better every time. And so I feel like, I hope that we're seeing the start of that. Maybe I hope we're seeing the start of that here with Labyrinthian from the Breathing Process, and this one already is a fucking masterpiece, and and I have nothing, but I just, it's nothing but anticipation and thinking that for the next one, you know what I mean? Like I just want more. Like this one is as beefy and as thick and as long as we talked about this one being, I still want more and I want to hear what's next and I can't get enough of this one. Like it's all of that. So yeah.
Exact same. Like I, because I like going into it only really knowing what I knew about him and only like from the past stuff and just how much time has gone on since that record. Like they're not even the same band as I knew them from.
Right.
Like so to hear all of the new additions and the new sound and everything, and just to kind of hear that this is how they ended up with lineup stuff and all that. Like I'm really excited to hear what comes from this band, and also just to kind of catch them live a couple more times just to see how a lot of this stuff kind of comes across. So.
Are they on? Hang on. Have they announced anything?
There's one I can't talk about, but hang on.
Shut up. But I'm wondering if they're on. Are they on the? I was wondering if they're gonna be at the Toledo Death Fest. Thought they were, but I don't see them on the lineup. Damn it. And I don't see them on Michigan Metal Fest. So, fingers crossed, we have some big announcements from them coming soon. Some big tour announcements. Yeah, there's no fucking way. There's just no fucking way we can't see them live this year. We have to see them live again. Like, let's see here. Hold on. Let me check their... sorry, everybody. Let me check the... this is so much longer than we thought it was going to be. Let me just check their social media real quick. Okay. So, yeah, they do have March 12th. Where the fuck is this? West Virginia. They got a show in West Virginia on March 12th. Oh, vinyl update. They got some vinyls coming. That's what I was thinking of right there. Maybe this already happened. Yep, I think it did. But yeah, I think they do have some tour dates announced. And they have other things TBA, for sure. And we really cannot fucking wait to see them this year. Be sure to check out all things The Breathing Process social media, especially Facebook and Instagram, Bandcamp. I'm not sure if they have another merch place besides Bandcamp or not, and I think they have their own website. So check out all of that for tour dates and all 2022 information. Fingers crossed we get a Michigan date, and fingers crossed we get a 2022 new release as well. That'd be awesome. I don't know if they're working on anything new or not. I have no information on that, but it'd be sick. I would love a new Breathing Process album this year. I think that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah.
But they are definitely going to be on the road a lot. So check out all their shit. Yeah, I mean, you got anything else?
Nope.
Nope. Yep. All right.
Like, in all honesty, like I kind of the same. Like for you, I think that this is kind of the most logical step forward for them, and to be off of like putting out an album after about 8 years and then doing another one and another 2, and for it to be this strong. Like I think that we're only kind of looking at the future for this band. So I'm looking forward to actually honestly listening to this more.
Yeah.
Getting more familiar with it and stuff, and hopefully maybe talking to them at some point. So
yeah,
man.
I will reach out to them, so fingers crossed they reach out back. That'd be amazing.
Check this shit out. If you like, good introductory songs, Shadow Self, Wilt, A Savage Plea, Shroud. Yeah, check out the video for that. The solo on that is
check out all the videos, all their
ripping.
music. There's some really good music videos.
Yeah, like their visual side of what they're doing with their videos really kind of matches with their sound super well.
Really does. Yeah. It really does. It's amazing. You know what? And I'll link all of them in the description below. Oh, yeah. I'll link everything Breathing Process in the description below, so you don't have to go anywhere else to find it. You can go right in the description, click the links, buy some merch, pick up a physical copy, get it on iTunes or what however you get your music. Just don't do it on Spotify because the artist doesn't get paid for that. So if you do, like, at least buy a t-shirt or something. Like,
Yeah.
I fucking hate Spotify. But yeah, like, be sure to check out all things The Breathing Process. Hopefully we'll talk to them soon. Hopefully we'll see them again soon. We have nothing but love for this band, and it's some of the greatest shit happening right now, and that's why we talk about it. So we like that. We only talk about the shit that we love, and this is something that we really love. So, God damn it, this has gone on for so long. Let's wrap this up. All right,
It's all
everyone.
good, man.
That's going to do it for this episode of Dark Reflections, the Breathing Process Labyrinthian episode. Thank you all so much for watching this. And if you still are, you are fucking heroes. We love you all so much. As always, we have a lot more coming very, very soon. But until next time, raise your fucking horns to some and bang your goddamn heads to some fucking Labyrinthian from Breathing Process, motherfuckers. We love you all to death. Good night.